episode of Real Money Matters. Rachel Kennedy here, and I'm here to let you know today that your money matters. It matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage the money that has been entrusted to you, that you've worked hard for. So please, call a friend, call a neighbor, let them know Real Money Matters is on the air, and we're here live to discuss with you today matters of money. Today is a very important day and a special day, because if today hadn't happened, I wouldn't even be here today. And that special day is my mother's birthday. And I want to say happy blessed birthday to my mom, Margie Anderson. You've been a great mom over the years. I appreciate your love and support. Thank you for even watching the program. Hopefully you're watching. And I just want to say blessed happy birthday and enjoy your day. This is your day, and we celebrate you. And I thank God for you. So today, everybody, wish my mom a blessed birthday. She's the best cook ever. I tell you, all my friends, everybody knows you go to Margie's Diner. It's open 24 hours. So today we're going to shower you. So thank you, and have a wonderful day. So I have a mom too. So I want to acknowledge her. She's been a good support down through the years. And like I said, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be here today. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So thank you for tuning in for another episode of Real Money Matters. I am so excited. Last week we had such a great time, and we're going to recap that a little later on in the show. And I'm so excited because we are taking control of our finances. We are telling our money where to go, because you realize if you don't tell it where to go, it's going to leave without your permission. So we're going to give our money direction. We're going to tell it where to go. We're going to be in control, and we're going to be good stewards, and we're going to manage the money. We've worked hard. You've given up part of your life every day to go and earn these finances. So there's a responsibility, that an awareness that I want to bring to you and help you to find a way to manage what you currently have, because we want to make room for increase. As we talked about last week, we talked about increase. We want to get to a wealthy place, but you can't even have abundance until you have surplus. So we're going to talk more about that later, because that was part of our message from last week, and we do want to recap it. Hopefully you can review and log back in and view the shows again, and you can see the show in its entirety. Kevin Lewis has made that available and possible, that you can see previous shows. That's a good thing. That's that DVR on demand thing. That's wonderful. And so we encourage you, go back, review. We've covered so much over these past 2 months. It's been 2 months, everyone. And I appreciate those who watch me faithfully. I appreciate your support. I'd love to hear from you. I haven't heard from a lot of you, so I would ask for someone to please, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. Tell me that Real Money matters to you. How about that? So you can contact me, as always, via email at realmoneymatters@rachelrkennedy.com. realmoneymatters@rachelrkennedy.com. Send me an email. Just encourage me. Let me know you're watching, you're enjoying the shows. We hear it through the grapevine, but I'd love to see an email. And I'd like to share your testimony or any questions or concerns I'd like to address that you may have concerning anything that I've discussed over these past weeks. Or even if I haven't discussed it and you have a question, feel free. Right now I want you to go and, as always, grab your favorite drink, a cup of Java, juice, water, whatever it may be. Get you something to write on, take notes, because we're going to go over some very important things this week. Today, I want to talk about, a little later on, we're going to talk about organizing our finances. Oh my gosh, we've talked about so many things, so we want to get it organized in an organized fashion. What I want to do is mention that the summer is getting past us. Oh my goodness, summer is coming and going. The children are out of school. And I think our children fail to realize when they're on summer vacation, we're not on summer vacation. My daughter don't realize I still got to get up and go to work. And I still have things to do. And so children, they're like, oh, I'm on vacation. Well, that's a good thing. But I'm glad, and I realize that we're in the middle of July, and I realize that school is coming. School is approaching, and so we want you to start thinking about school supplies. What, in July? Yes, because it's coming. They're going to be going back to school. We've been talking about budgeting and planning, and hopefully this summer you've been able to stay within your budget. I know the summertime you have vacations and we have activities, extra activities. A lot of things go on in the summer because summers are short in Michigan, and so we love our summers. So hopefully you've budgeted for that. And I was thinking about it. If you haven't budgeted for this summer, this is a good template for next year. We want to start thinking about our summer next year based on the activities and things you've done this year. We always want to be aware of our budget. The B word, yes, the B word, the budget that works for you. We always want you to be mindful of that budget, because what happens is you tell your money where to go. You give it direction. You help yourself to manage and know how your income is coming in and what you're spending out. And in some cases, some may be in a situation where their income is less than what they're spending. So we have two objectives, and the one objective is to spend less than we make. And so what we have to do, if we find ourselves spending more, we have to identify where are our dollars going. What are we spending our money on? And then we have to find a way to reduce those costs, how to cut back and find savings so that you can live on less than what you're bringing in. Our goal typically is to live on 70% of your income. What does that mean? 10% will go to God, to giving. 10% will go to a short-term savings thing where you don't have to pay for things on credit, where you can pay for insurance or emergency. That's almost like your emergency fund kind of thing. And then you'll have 10% we want to start preparing for long-term things, in retirement, investment, things that's going to grow your money. So if you're not there yet, I encourage you can just start where you are. If you can't, start with the 30%. Start with 1%. 2%. You know what I'm saying? Just get yourself in a habit of starting to save. Even if you feel like you don't have it to save, then you can it's always there. It's not going anywhere. So if you're putting it to the side and you're not spending it right away, it's still available to you, is what I'm saying. So start getting in the habit of saving. We've talked about several ways of savings over the course of the show. We've talked about the change. I'm telling you, it's a great idea. You just let it accumulate. I think last week or the week before, I have a jar, and I just put all my loose change in, and I took it to the bank the other week, last week, and it was almost $100, and it was effortlessly. Because when you go and you spend, you have loose change. Most time you just put it in the bottom of your pocket in your purse or in a tray or somewhere, and you let it accumulate, and you don't think about it. That's saving without even thinking about it. We mentioned having your payroll deductions. Payroll deductions are great ways to save because it comes right out of your check. You don't see it. You don't even miss it. You don't even realize you're earning that money because it comes right out of your check. Get you a good savings account. Talking about saving, but think about that. I want you to consider planning for your next summer. We're continuing to think about our budget, talk about our budget. I'm going to get the B word in you, the budget. I want you to always think about that because it's so important that we trim it and we get it to the point where we're living beneath our income, our means, so that way we can have extra. Oh, it's so nice to go to your bank and know you have extra money at the end of your week or whenever you get paid, because what happens is you don't want to continue to just spend every dollar every time you get paid and don't have anything to get to the next week, because many people, 70%, live from paycheck to paycheck, and that's just a known fact. And we want to get you out of that situation where you have extra going into your next pay period. How about that? Next time you get a check, that you still have extra left over from your previous check. Now, is that a rarity for some? It could be, because like 70%. So 7 out of 10 people are living already from paycheck to paycheck. So we're going to bring an awareness and enlightenment to you to help you to get in a place of planning. Always plan. Think ahead. You already know we've been talking about Christmas. Yes, Christmas in July. We want to start saving toward Christmas. Last week I gave you a challenge, and I had mentioned to you concerning volunteering your time, your services, your time during the holiday season. A lot of times there are a lot of charities out there that need help. They need your time. You may not have the money, you may not be able to budget the money to donate, but you maybe can donate your time. You can take a day or two out of the month where you can go and help feed the hungry, or go and volunteer at different organizations that are helping people. And that is so encouraging during that time. Some people don't have families during that time. You have single moms who struggle. So think about that. You may even know somebody in your own community that's that way, that you can reach out to. So think of ways to be a blessing even now. Consider other people. So we're still in the Christmas countdown, 166 days until Christmas. I'm telling you, it's going to be here before you know it. So you're going to thank me at Christmas time. Hopefully, I hope that someone has taken the pointer on using that financial institution that offers your Christmas club fund. That is the best fund ever, because they will not give you access to that money. I mean, that's the best way. It's your money and it's there, but they only allow you access in November. So in November you can get a big bonus check. It'll be like a big bonus check in November, because you saved and put away, and then you would love to just take that money and go shopping. But make sure you have your list and you're ready. So we talked about Christmas. We talked about back to school, think about getting school supplies. I know as children get older these days, they need more things and more items. And back in the day, we need paper and pencil. That's all you needed to go to school, was paper and pencil. Now you have to have the backpack, and you have the flash drives, and you have the Sharpie. I mean, just a whole lot of things. So start looking now. You can get those things pretty inexpensively. It's just a matter of planning. All of this, when we deal with our money, we just need a plan. If we have a written plan and not in our head, a written plan is something about a written plan. When you write it down, it becomes alive. It becomes like law almost. You write it down like, well, I have to do this because this is how, I wrote it down. And so we want to encourage you to write down your budget. If you haven't already, identify your income and your expenses, your spending. You need to start doing that now, because you want to get yourself in a place of financial freedom where you're not bogged down about your bills. You're not bogged down wondering how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to get there. We're going to identify what we have. We're going to take this face on, and we're going to learn, and we're going to have tips. We've learned tips and things to help us develop over the course of the show to help us to get in a better place financially. Hopefully these tips have helped you. Like I said, feel free to go back and review the shows. Today we have a quote, and our quote for today is by Edgar Watson Howe. And the quote for the day is, because we've been talking about credit and debt and all of that, and I love this quote. And this quote says, "No man's credit is ever as good as his money." No man's credit is ever good as his money. What does that mean? Have you heard the saying, cash is king? When you have money, you don't need credit. When you have money, you're able to get access to deals that maybe others aren't available to. Because how many of you know, if you're selling an item, would you want to pay it on sell it on credit, where you get the money in the future? You give them the product now and wait for your money? No. If someone has cash now, if you have two customers, one say, well, I'll pay you in 30 days. And somebody here has cash and say, well, I'll pay you now. which one would you take? So cash is king. So your credit, no matter how good it is, if someone has money, that's going to always be better. So that is our quote for today. No man's credit is ever as good as his money. So keep that in mind. Cash is king. We've heard that saying. So we're going to review, switching hats. We want to review our topic from last week. Actually, we've talked about it for a couple of weeks. We've been talking about debt and how debt is bondage and how debt is a commitment on how you purchase things, and it's a commitment for you to pay for it in the future. And what happens is there's a weight on your mind. When you get yourself into debt, especially if you extend yourself in debt, that weighs on your mind and weighs on you mentally, because you say, wow, I committed to this, and you want to be able to pay that. You want to be able to meet that obligation. But sometimes, life happens and situations happen. And, your job may not come through like it wants to. I know a particular company that had some financial situations, and some of their employees had to get half a check for so many weeks, or from week to week they didn't know. So I'm saying is you never know what could come up in life. That's why you need to be prepared. We want to avoid obligating ourselves. That's why we shouldn't make hasty decisions about impulsively. I just want it now. This is what I want. I'm going to get it now. Not thinking about in the future, you got to pay for that. So debt puts an assumption on your future that you're going to be able to even pay it. We talked about Wimpley. I love him, and I'll keep bringing him up because he's a perfect example of debt. And that was, he couldn't wait for the burger. Greed causes us to get into debt. So we want to discipline ourselves and say, no, if I'm not paying cash for it, I'm not going to get it. So we want you to, what I want you to realize, what you tolerate, you won't change. You have to get angry at debt. You have to be angry, like, I don't want this in my life anymore. Put yourself in a position where you can be a blessing and you can help others. In our story last week, we talked about the widow woman. And I gave you a challenge after we review, and I'm going to see if you met that challenge, to look and see what's in your house. What does that mean? Last week we talked about the widow woman who had, her husband had died. And that's what I said about debt. You can't put a presumption that you're going to even be alive to pay it. Her husband had died, and the creditors, they still wanted their money. It didn't matter he was dead. They were going after his relatives. They were going to take her 2 sons and put them in bondage, in slavery, because that's what debt is. It puts you in slavery and bondage. But thanks be to God, she had a plan that allowed her, that God gave her a plan through a man of God to get her out of that situation. And she began to develop a business. And she said, the prophet asked her what was in her house. And she said, first she said she had nothing. She said, I don't have anything. I don't have anything in my house. But then she thought about it, and she said, I have some oil, So that's what I'm saying. You have something in your house. You haven't even thought about it. And I want you to. Because whatever that thing is can get you in a place of debt reduction, cancellation, and you're going to have to work the plan. You're going to have to work the plan. You have it in you. I know you do. You just have to identify it and shake it up. Get a list and write out things that you're good at, things that you can do. Maybe you are a salesperson. You can sell things. I know this one lady, she could sell ice to an Eskimo, I tell you, because that's her personality. I'm not a seller, I'd rather service you. How can I help you? What can I do to make your life better? But you got to know what kind of person you are. Are you a seller? Are you a person that can serve? Maybe you can cook, you can bake, you can paint. You love animals. You can walk dogs. Anything. There are so many things in the world. You have to identify what you're good at and what you like. And the key and the important part of you liking it is that you will do it. They said once if you do something and don't get paid for it, if you would do something and not get paid for it, and you could find a way to get paid for it, wouldn't you want to do that? If you do something you love, you will do it whether you get paid or not. And so that's a key thing. So I want you to find a way. Find what's in your house. We talked about those clothes that are too big now, right? That you have in your closet. You can go on the internet. They have opportunities nowadays. You can go on the internet. You can sell stuff. There are extra things in your house that can bring income so you can reduce your debt, so that you can get yourself out of debt, and then you can learn how to manage the money that you have. Because guess what? If you don't learn how to manage what you have, when you get increase, it's not going to stay. It's going to go right. It's going to be like you have holes in your pocket. So you're going to identify now, okay, when this money comes in, I'm going to pay off this debt. I said, we're going to get a debt cancellation stamp. We're going to cancel out debt. We're going to cancel it, and we're going to say it's paid in full. And don't you know, Jesus paid it in full for us. Salvation, it wasn't free. It's free to us, but he had to pay a price. The price was paid, and he paid it in full on Calvary, and he did it because he loved us. So there is a cost involved. Somebody's got to pay the cost. You got yourself in the situation, then you can get yourself out of it. You can. I know you can. So we talked about supernatural debt cancellation. What's in your house? Take an inventory. Know what's in your house. Think about anything that you can do that you can bring increase into your life. Well, we're going to take a short break. I know I went on and on about all the things we've talked about, but I'm excited because we're identifying ways for you to overcome the debt, the bondage of debt. And so we're going to start talking about organizing our finances, but we do want to take a break, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to be back with you momentarily. So refresh your coffee. Call a friend, call a neighbor, let them know that Real Money Matters is on the air, and we will be back with you in just a few moments, and we're going to talk about organizing your finances. Make sure you have something to write with, and we'll see you shortly. Thanks. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you refreshed your drink and you have a fresh scratch of paper, a piece of paper, and you're ready to take some more notes, or your tablet or whatever you take your notes on these days. Feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Have any questions or anything or comments that you'd like to make, or thoughts that you'd like to share with us that you've learned or over the years in your finances, and how to manage your finances, ways to reduce spending, just creative ways that will be a help to others. Feel free to contact me at Real Money Matters at RachelRKennedy.com. Real Money Matters at RachelRKennedy.com. I'd love to hear from you. So send me an email. Also, we have some spreadsheets and budget forms and debt snowball cancellation kind of forms that can help you to track your debt, track your budget, and help you to develop one that works for you, a budget that works for you. This week, like I said, we've talked about a lot of things. I want to talk about organizing your finances, and I don't want to take little things for granted, like opening mail. You think everybody open their mail, but there are people who just let their mail just pile up and think if they don't open it and they don't acknowledge it and they ignore it, that it'll go away. But guess what? It doesn't. It just makes it worse. We want to be able to organize our bills and our finances, so when the things come in, we can pay them on a timely manner. Do you know late fees that can add up and cost you so much money? That's not increase. That's more expenses you're adding. If you pay something past the due date, they tack on late fees. They used to give you grace periods. I remember the time they would give you 5 days grace, 10 days grace. They give you no grace now. If you don't pay it the day of that it's due by midnight, or even sometimes the cutoff time is 5 or 6 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, then they tag on 10, 20, $30 late fee, depending on your contract and your agreement that you have with your particular company. So keep that in mind. We need to organize. We need to have a way to organize our finances with multiple bank accounts, multiple credit card statements. A lot of times we have multiple things because you have your store major credit cards from department stores as well as other entities, and that stuff, it can be overwhelming. It can seem huge and demanding. You have debit cards. When we have multiple accounts, they give you debit cards now that look like credit cards, and you have those statements. How do you manage all that paperwork? How do you keep all that together? Juggling your personal finances can be challenging, but there's a saying. It says, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So you take it down, and we're going to break it into small categories. Instead of saying I'm just going to organize my finances, say I'm going to balance my checkbook, say I'm going to open my mail. Break it down into smaller categories so you can get yourself in a place where you have total organization. And so what we want to do, we want to take it one bite at a time. And so this is how some suggestions that I have about organizing your finances. The first one is regularly check your mail. Do you let your mail pile up at the door or in your box and the mailman think you're on vacation because you haven't checked your mail in weeks? Is your mail overflowing, with checks and income? Or do you have a lot of bills that come through your mail? So regularly check your mail. Have one location. I know this sounds elementary and simple, but simplicity is going to help organize your finances and allow you to be able to handle it and deal with this day-to-day paperwork, because it's coming. Whether you deal with it or not, it's going to come. So I want to help you to organize it and get it in a fashion where it's manageable for you and you won't mind doing it. What happens is when we let stuff accumulate and it becomes this great big task that's going to take a long time, then you don't want to do it. So I'm going to encourage you to do it on a regular basis. Break it down into smaller tasks, and then it won't seem so overwhelming for you to manage your finances. So have one location that you always put your bills, always put your mail. Discard your junk mail. We get a lot of junk mail. Discard your junk mail. You get a lot of credit card offers. Oh, how many credit card offers do you get in the course of a month? I know a lot of them come through my house, and we know what we do. We shred them. We don't keep that because it's so inviting. Oh, it's 0% interest. It's an introductory, and see, they get you on that. You don't read the fine print. The fine print says, yeah, after so many days, they're going to tack on all this interest. So, separate your mail. Get a place that is consistent for you to go to. Have a file or a drawer that you keep all of your stuff in. Have a designated place. Be consistent. Know that when you go there, because you don't want to get to the place where you might forget something, or like I said, those late fees will add up, and you can wind up paying more late fees than what you owe on the bill. So you don't want to. You want to make sure you have a timely manner, a timely way of doing that. Establish a good filing system that makes sense for you. You know how you think. You know how you operate. And so you have to develop a filing system that works for you. Maybe you want to put things by the month. You want to keep everything by month, so all this month this came in. Get you some folders and label them for each month and the year. So January, February, March, label them and keep everything in it by the month. That's a simple way. Or they have what they call a tickler file. What you can do is you can get files and number them from 1 to 30. Now put numbers 1 through 30, and that represents the day of the week. So if you have a bill that's due on the 1st, and you put them all in that file. If it's due on the 2nd, put it all in that file. Maybe it's due on the 15th. So that way you can just say, well, you know the date it is today. Today is the 12th, and so you have to go in there and see, well, do I have anything that's due today? You know, maybe that's an idea. I'm just giving you some thoughts on how you can organize your finances, organize your bills, so that you can be aware of when something is due. Maybe you are the person that like it alphabetically. You want to put it in order by the name. So I'm giving you some ideas. How do you organize your finances? You want to be able to have access and know, when something is due. We want to avoid late fees. Late fees add up. Or maybe you're someone who wants to have a file for each bill, like for each credit card bill, for each bank statement. Find a system. You have to have a filing system. You have to be able to know and identify where everything it is. Establish a time. Establish a set time that you're going to do this. Frequency determines how much time you'll have to spend. So if you wait once a month, you're going to have to spend more time. But if you set aside a half hour, can you do a half hour a week? A half hour a week to manage your paperwork, manage your finances, know where you are. That would be such a relief, just in knowing. Half the battle is knowing. Who said that? G.I. Joe? Half the battle is knowing. If you just know where it is, then you become more aware. You'll be less likely to go out and splurge and buy unnecessary things that you don't really need, because you say, oh right, yeah, I have that bill that's due. Oh yeah, I have that obligation that I have to meet. And so you'll be less likely, otherwise going in oblivion, like, I don't owe anybody, I don't know anything. We want you to be aware of what your finances are. So organize them. Designate a time, a place. Do it weekly. Maybe you want to do it every time you get paid. Maybe think about this. The day before you get paid, your payday, the day before you get paid, already have a plan. Already know, okay, we're going to pay this, pay that, and bam, do it. Don't hesitate, because the longer you let it sit there, the greater chance of you spending it on something else other than what you need to spend it on. So these are just tips to help you think about it, get an awareness, and you'll feel so much better to know, wow, I paid everybody and then I have extra left. Oh my, that is a great feeling. If you're one of those that are living from paycheck to paycheck, try to make it, I challenge you to, at the end of your payday, that you have extra money. That you have extra money when your next check comes on. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find you're going to have extra. You're going to have surplus. We're looking at getting surplus. And with that surplus, we want to start to develop a plan. Don't spend it yet. Have a plan. Just put it away. Let it sit there. It's not going anywhere. It's your money. Let it sit there until you have a plan for your money. Have a plan for it before you spend it. I'm telling you, that's going to alleviate so much stress and pressure off of you. Maybe you want to use a calendar. Calendars, I love the calendars. What I'm saying is, find something that works for you. Your budget is going to be your budget. Your finances are your finances, and it has to make sense to you. It has to make sense to you, because if it doesn't make sense to you, you're not going to want to do it, and you're not going to commit to it. And so this is so important. You worked hard for your money. You've given up part of your life for it. Then it's time to take responsibility and own it, and give it direction and tell it where to go. And so that it won't leave without your permission. Maybe get a calendar, write down your due dates. Watch this. This is so important. How many of you have automatic deductions that just automatically come out of your account? Oh my gosh, they make that so convenient. Say, well, we'll just deduct it out of your account. Well, guess what? You got to remember the day they're going to do that, because if not, you can find yourself in an insufficient fund situation, and those bank fees are enormous. Oh my goodness, they will charge you if you are off 1 penny and you are 1 penny short of that obligation you were going to pay. They're going to charge you $30 or whatever the fee is. It's going to be a fee, and then they're not going to pay that, and they're going to send that payment back, and that's not going to look good on you. So planning. So if you have automatic deduction, get a calendar, Put it on there. Know when your paydays are. Know when those deductions are going to come out of your account, because you can find yourself in a situation. And it's very important, especially if you have a joint account with your spouse. Oh my goodness, make sure that you two are on the same page. Make sure that you're not spending and he's not spending, those ATM debit cards. Be aware, communicate. You're going to have to communicate to make sure that you all are not overspending each other. Come together. It is so important that a husband and wife come together with their budgeting and work together. And perhaps, the husband is maybe not as involved, or maybe the wife is not involved. Maybe you're the main one that handles it, but still let them know. Make them be, maybe they'll have an interest in knowing about sitting down and organizing everything, and maybe you are the one that does that. So if that's the case, then do that, but then just make them aware of it. Say, hey, look, this is where we are, this is what's going on. They don't have to necessarily participate in it. If they'd like to, that's great, because two working together as a team is so important. But if that's not their point of interest, then you just make them aware of it. Say, listen, this is how much is available that we can spend on groceries, or we can spend on gas. Come together, communicate it, because if you're not communicating, one may think there's you're balancing the checkbook because you know what checks are outstanding, haven't cleared, and they just go to the ATM and say, oh, we have X amount of dollars in there, not considering that you have checks you've written that haven't cleared. So it is so important. It's so important. I just threw that in there. That wasn't even on my notes, so that didn't cost you anything. So that's for husbands and wives, that have a joint account. You want to keep that in mind as well. The other thing, so we talked about electronic payments and scheduled payments like that. Watch those kind of automatic deductions that will come out. Balance your checkbook so you know before you pay your bills that you have the right balances, and use your register. Make sure when you have a deposit, put it in. When you have a check that you wrote, or debit charges can get you in a situation. That's why online banking is nice, because if you forget to get your receipt, if you forget or lose your receipt, if you go online, it gives you a breakdown of any debits or credits that any debits you've done on your debit card that comes out. So it's tracking. It's being consistent. Another way of organizing your finances, you need to review your bills monthly. You need to review them to make sure that the charges on there are correct. Make sure your credit, if you have credit card statements, but we're not going to have any more activity on those statements, right? Because we're not going to go into any more debt. But get your statement and look at it. It should make you angry, because it has a place on there that tells you if you make your minimum payment, how long it's going to take you to pay that off. Oh my goodness, it's going to take forever. So you should look at that and say, no, I'm not going to be in that situation. I'm going to earn extra income. I'm going to find a way to find increase, and we're going to reduce this debt. So review your statements, your quarterly statements, your semi-annual statements, your insurance. When your insurance statements come, I think it's every 6 months, review those. Make sure your deductibles are where they should be. Make sure that your rates haven't went up. I know they have different insurance companies. Insurance are very competitive, so you can feel free to always shop around. So we want to always find ways to reduce our spending and find a way to bring increase. Sometimes you can find things that cost less and are better quality. It's just a matter of you doing the footwork and you doing the research and looking it out. Keep a small handy notebook around you to track your cash transactions that you don't have receipts for, because you want to identify the little things, the little foxes. It says the little foxes is what destroy the vine. It's the little things that we don't even think about. When you go to the vending machine, yeah. When you go to the gas station, get that whatever you get from the convenience store. Those little things you don't get receipts for. Jot them down. You need to get a real, true picture, a snapshot of really what your finances are. They're not just your mortgage. It's not just your car payment. It's not just your insurance. It's not just your groceries. It's those little things as well that you do. So we want to find a way to identify that. We're still talking about organizing your finances. Have a place for all your important documents. It is so important. Your social security cards, your birth certificate, your marriage license, passports, things that are very important. Something that I do, and I just started doing, make a copy of everything you have in your wallet. The front and the back, credit cards, driver's license, blah, blah, blah. In case something happens, you lose your wallet or it's stolen and something comes out, then immediately you don't have to worry like, oh, what was in my wallet? I don't remember. You will have a file somewhere. Have a copy, front and back of it. It'll have all the account numbers. It'll have phone numbers you can contact in case something could happen. And that has happened before where we've lost a card and couldn't find it. And so we had to immediately call the credit card company, and we were prepared. Why? Because I had made a copy of it. Make a copy. Some people have special licenses and registrations and things of that nature that you may not even realize you carry in your wallet. Make a copy of everything that you have, so that in the event that something happened, you have a backup plan where you can contact and notify people that it was lost. These are the numbers, and they can reissue those things for you. So that's just a little tip there that I wanted to share with you. So think about keeping them in a safe. Maybe get you a fireproof safe. When you look for things, look for them online. Maybe you can find them less expensive. Check resale places. Don't be afraid to look otherwise. Yard sales, especially during this time of year, people have yard sales. They have moving sales. Oh, this is a great time to get out and enjoy this summer weather and be able to save money as well. And then you could think about having a yard sale yourself. On a side note, all that things that are in your house that if maybe you're not one that do the internet and want to sell items on the internet, then you can have a yard sale. Get with some friends, have a block thing, make it a big fun event, and then you can make money. I remember when my daughter was smaller, they had what they call mom-to-mom sales. What is a mom-to-mom sale? A mom-to-mom sale is where you buy all these pretty clothes for your children when they're little, and they can't even walk. They're not even walking. And so those clothes are barely used. They're not stained or not anything. So what happened was all the moms would get together and we would sell our clothes to one another. And what did that do? That allowed us to make more money, and then we were able to go and buy the next size up. And that worked for my daughter till she was about, 3 or 4. After that, it didn't kind of work. But I'm saying find creative ways to save money and make money. So I said all that because I said to buy a fireproof safe. To find it, you don't have to spend a lot of money for it. Try to buy stuff that's used and in good condition. Maybe you're not comfortable with having those types of documents in your house. They have safe deposit boxes. There are safe deposit boxes you can get at banks that allow you to store those kind of documents. So just think about some of your important documents. Get a shredder. Get a good shredder. They call them a cross-cut shredder that cuts it 2 ways, not just diagonally but vertically. It cuts it 2 ways. So get you a good shredder, because when you start shredding documents or bills or credit card statements or things of that nature, you want to be able to shred them up so they're not be able to be readable. So think about that. And then they have shredding places that shred things. You can take them to those as well. Track all of your one-time expenses. Save all of your expenses. The key goal of organizing your finances is to know how much you make. That's one of the key goals. In organizing everything and keeping track of your paperwork, you want to know how much you make. You want to know where your money is going. That's what I say about tracking it. Keep you a notepad somewhere near on your person, in your car, in your vehicle, where you can jot down those things. Just being aware. You got to know how to control the flow of your cash. And that's what the budget does. It helps you to control the flow of your cash. Develop a habit. Develop a habit. Once you've developed that habit of being aware of your finances, knowing what's coming in, what's going out, you're going to feel so empowered and so in control of what's going on with your situation. Organizing and managing your money becomes easier when you make it a habit. So those are a few tips on some things. I want to go real briefly, we run out of time, about record keeping. How long do you keep things? How long do you keep your ATM printouts? I would say keep those for a month. And keep those for a month until you balance your checkbook. You want to keep track of your, until you balance your, I apologize. You want to make sure that you track those for a month. For a year, things that you would keep for a year would be like your pay stubs. These, I'm talking about record keeping, how long you would keep something. Keep your utility bills, keep your canceled check, your credit cards, receipts, bank statements, quarterly investments. You want to keep those kind of things for a year. So we're talking about a filing system and organizing your finances. What do you want to keep up to 3 years? Keep your income tax returns for up to 3 years. Remember that the IRS can audit you for no reason for up to 3 years after you filed a return. So you want to make sure that you keep track of those, your tax returns, at least a minimum for 3 years. You want to keep track of selling of a house, buying of a house, selling of stocks. You want to keep medical records, those kind of things. Those are things you want to keep those to up to 3 years. Up to 7 years, you want to keep loans that have been satisfied. You want to keep those kind of things up to 7 years. The things you want to hold while they're active are contracts, insurance documents, property records, things of that nature. You want to hold those kind of things while they're still active. What do you keep forever? Forever you keep your marriage license, because you're going to be married forever, right? You keep your birth certificate, wills. I encourage you, if you don't have a will, get yourself a will, adoption paper, death certificates, records of paid mortgages. Those are things you want to keep forever. So that's just a little bit about organizing your finances. Hopefully I gave you some important tips that's going to help you organize your finances. Remember, do a little bit at a time. The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed my time with you. It went away. I don't know where the time went, but I'm so glad you tuned in. Contact me. Let me know that Real Money Matters has helped you or is helping you. Email me, let me know any thoughts or any concerns or any topics you would like to hear discussed on our show, and I'd be glad to address those matters. You can contact me at Rachel R. Kennedy, Real Money Matters, that is at RachelRKennedy.com. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Until next week, remember that your money matters. It matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage the money that has been entrusted to you. Until next week, manage well. Thank you.